The dining room was a battlefield disguised as a family gathering. I sat at the edge of my parents' polished oak table, smoothing the wrinkles from my simple black dress, a purchase I couldn't quite afford but wore like armor tonight. The crystal glasses caught the chandelier's light as Dad poured wine that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. "To Sam's incredible win," he said, raising his glass, his face glowing with pride. "Youngest attorney in the firm's history to win a case of this magnitude." Mom reached across to squeeze Sam's hand. "We always knew you were destined for greatness." Sam basked in the spotlight, her highlighted hair falling perfectly as she lowered her eyes modestly. "It was just good preparation, really. And natural talent," Mom added quickly. "Don't downplay your gifts." I took a small sip of water, gathering courage. "The article I read about the case mentioned how you connected with the jury. That emotional intelligence is so valuable. Did you tell them about the judge's comments?" Dad interrupted, not glancing my way. "Samantha, tell them what he said afterward." My words dissolved like sugar in rain. I'd been here before, fading into the wallpaper while Sam shone. I focused on my breathing, the weight of the fork in my hand, anything to anchor myself as their voices swirled around me. "Kylie, pass the potatoes," Mom said, the first time she'd addressed me in 20 minutes. I complied, then tried again. "My department is implementing a new compliance system that I helped design. Did I mention Sam's firm is considering her for junior partner?" Mom cut in, her voice brimming with pride. "At 32, can you imagine?" My throat tightened. I'm 29, 3 years younger than my brilliant sister, but somehow decades behind in their eyes. Mom turned to me with that look, the one that always preceded her helpful suggestions. "You know, Kylie, if you'd finished that MBA instead of just your bachelor's, you might be further along by now." The MBA I postponed when they called, sobbing about the foreclosure notice. The degree still sitting in the someday file while my savings drained month after month. "I'm doing fine," I managed. Mom sighed, exchanging a glance with Dad. "Fine isn't exceptional, though, is it?" She set her fork down with precision. "Honestly, Kylie, you're not even half the woman your sister is." The room went silent. Even the antique clock on the mantel seemed to pause. My hand trembled around my water glass, ripples forming on the surface. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, heat crawling up my neck. The words hit like a physical blow, stealing my breath. Then the clock resumed. Tick, tick, tick. Something shifted inside me. 4 years of silence, 4 years of sacrifice, 4 years of invisibility. "Then let her pay the mortgage for this house," I said quietly. The words hung like smoke. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. "Mortgage? What mortgage?" Sam's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips, her expression uncertain. Mom's face drained of color so fast I thought she might faint. "Kylie, this is hardly dinner conversation. Who wants dessert? I made your favorite apple." No, my voice was stronger than I expected. I pulled my phone from my purse, fingers trembling as I opened my banking app. "What are you talking about?" Dad blustered, his confidence cracking. "We refinanced years ago." I scrolled to the first payment, February 15th, 2021. $2,500 to prevent foreclosure. "Just this once," you said. I turned the screen toward them. "March, April, May," I continued, scrolling through the evidence. "Every month for 4 years, between $1,200 and $2,400, depending on what crisis came up." Dad's face hardened. "We've had some temporary setbacks in the business. You know that." "Temporary," I snapped. 4 years isn't temporary." I turned to Sam, whose confusion was turning to horror. Did you know? Did you know that while you were buying your condo and getting promotions, I was keeping our parents from losing their house?" Sam shook her head slowly. They told me they were helping you financially, that you were struggling. A bitter laugh escaped me. Is that what they told you? A daughter supports her family, Mom said tearfully, returning without dessert. That's how we raised you. Family comes first, always. Family comes first, I repeated hollowly. But I'm not really family, am I? I'm an ATM, the backup plan, the safety net you never acknowledge. The realization hit with startling clarity. All those years of trying to measure up, of accepting less, of making myself smaller to fit their box. And for what? So they could drain me dry while praising Sam for achievements my sacrifices helped enable. Sam set her glass down carefully. How much, Kylie? Total. I met her eyes. $84,000. Dad choked on his wine. That's preposterous. But his protest lacked conviction. He knew. They all knew now. My down payment for a home, I said, my voice steadier. My MBA. My future. The silence was heavy, thick with exposed truth. And beneath the anger and hurt, I felt something else unfurling. Freedom. Back at my apartment that night, memories flashed like lightning. The phone ringing at 11:37 on a Tuesday, nearly ignored under my IKEA comforter. Kylie, Mom's voice broke, thick with tears. I didn't know who else to call. I sat up, wide awake. What's wrong? Is someone hurt? The house, she sobbed. We're going to lose the house. She explained through hiccuping breaths, missed mortgage payments, Dad's struggling architectural firm, the foreclosure notice. Words like 30 days and auction punctuated her pleas. How much? I asked, opening my laptop, navigating to my bank account. The screen glowed harshly, illuminating the savings I'd built over 3 years of overtime and brown bag lunches. My down payment fund for a modest Denver condo. $2,500, she whispered. Just to stop the foreclosure process. Charles swears the Brewster contract is coming through next month. She paused. Honey, I wouldn't ask, but we have nowhere else to turn. My cursor hovered over the transfer button. The colonial-style house on Maple Street. My childhood bedroom with the window seat. The oak tree I fell from at 8, breaking my arm. The dining room where we gathered for Sunday pot roast. Just this once, Mom promised. Your father's mortified I even called you. We'll pay you back when his commission clears. I clicked. $2,500 vanished. Thank you, sweetheart, Mom said, relief washing away her tears. We raised such a good girl. Dad got on briefly. Won't happen again, Kylie Bear. Just a tough month. I stared at my balance long after we hung up. The hollowness in my stomach wasn't hunger. 3 weeks later, Mom called again. The bank made a mistake with the payment processing. Her voice was less desperate, more expectant. Just $1,200 this time. I transferred the money. A month later, your father's client is late paying, but the business will bounce back. Another transfer. By the 6th month, I stopped waiting for their explanations to change. I stopped expecting repayment. I set up an automatic transfer, $1,500 monthly to their mortgage company. It was easier than the tearful calls. An email pinged on a Wednesday. Denver downtown condo development pre-sale opportunity. I opened it during my lunch break, scrolling through images of the starter home I'd been saving for, walking distance to work, in my price range, 10% down. I checked my savings. After 6 months of transfers, I was back where I'd started 3 years ago. The condo units sold out in 48 hours. That night, I deferred my MBA acceptance for the second time. Financial circumstances, I wrote on the form. The university would hold my spot for 1 more year. After that, I'd need to reapply. I created a spreadsheet, columns for dates, amounts, running total. A separate tab for opportunities declined: condo, education, my college roommate's wedding in Spain. My stomach clenched as the numbers grew. 6 months became a year. A year became 2. I microwaved ramen in the office kitchen. My phone buzzed with an Instagram notification. Mom at Morello's, the upscale Italian place, captioned, "Anniversary dinner. Blessed." Dad's new golf clubs leaned against their dining room wall in another photo the next week. I texted my friends, "Can't make it this weekend. Tight on cash." The third such excuse that summer. They stopped asking. A credit card rejection arrived via email: insufficient credit history and current income-to-debt ratio. The same day, Sam posted photos of her condo closing. Homeowner at last. Adulting. The comments overflowed with family congratulations. "Your sister always had such a good head on her shoulders," Mom told me at Easter dinner while I calculated how many more months until I could restart my MBA fund. Financial independence is a sign of maturity. I nodded, swallowing the irony and the instant mashed potatoes. At the office holiday party, Jessica from accounting slid into the chair beside me. "You okay? You've been brown bagging it for months." Her eyes, kind behind tortoiseshell glasses, held concern, not pity. "Just saving," I said, the lie automatic. She studied me over her cheap Chardonnay. "For what, exactly?" "Because you never seem to buy anything." Her direct gaze broke through my deflections. Over after-work coffee that turned into dinner, the story spilled out. 4 years, $84,000, the endless cycle of obligation. Jessica set her mug down with a click. "Kylie, you can't set yourself on fire to keep others warm." "They're my parents," I said, but the words lacked conviction. "And you're their daughter, not their bank." She pulled a napkin toward her, uncapped a pen. "Let's do some math." We calculated the true cost, not just dollars, but lost compound interest, delayed career advancement, missed retirement contributions. The sum made my hands shake. "They wouldn't understand," I whispered. "Maybe not," Jessica agreed. "But do you understand what you're giving up?" That night, I stared at my bank app, thumb hovering over the automatic transfer. 4 years. $84,000. My finger trembled, not yet ready to cancel. But for the first time I could imagine it. Just this once, I thought. I could skip just this once. See if they notice. See if they care. I closed my eyes. When I opened them, the transfer confirmation stared back. One more month of setting myself on fire. But in my reflection on the darkened phone screen, I saw a flicker of determination. At 5:48 a.m. on Monday, the bank app glowed on my phone. I hadn't slept after that terrible dinner. My thumb hovered over "Cancel Automatic Transfer" as sunlight peeked through my apartment blinds. 4 years, $84,000, a down payment on a Denver condo, the MBA I kept deferring, a retirement fund with compound interest, all sacrificed for a house I didn't live in, owned by people who said I wasn't half the woman my sister was. My finger trembled. I pressed, "Confirm." My stomach lurched like I'd jumped off a diving board, but instead of water, I fell into freedom. The sensation was so foreign I nearly reached for the trash can. But beneath the nausea, relief bloomed, and my body sagged against the headboard. For the first time in 4 years, my next paycheck was mine. Dad's call came before I finished my coffee. I let it go to voicemail. "Kylie," his voice was granite and gravel, "what you did last night was inexcusable. We've supported you your entire life, and this is how you repay us? By abandoning your family when we need you most? Call me back immediately." I deleted the message and blocked his number. By noon, Mom left 4 messages, each more tearful. By 3 p.m., I'd blocked her too. Sam texted, "They say you're punishing them. What's happening? They won't stop calling me." I typed back, "Ask them about the mortgage payments I've been making for 4 years." Three dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Finally, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. The doorbell rang at 6:14 p.m. Through the peephole, I saw Mom clutching a photo album. I pressed my forehead against the door, willing her to leave. "Kylie, honey, I know you're in there," her voice carried through the wood. "I brought pictures from when you were little. Remember how we were always there for you? Your first ballet recital when you fell and your father carried you off stage." What I remembered was working 3 jobs in college while Sam's tuition was paid in full. Postponing grad school for their temporary setback that lasted 4 years. I didn't open the door. By morning, my aunt in Phoenix called about your poor parents. My uncle in Michigan emailed about family responsibility. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly checked in. The family mobilization was impressive. "They're good," Jessica said over coffee across from our office. "They've got the flying monkeys out in force." Flying monkeys? From The Wizard of Oz. The Wicked Witch sends them to do her dirty work. It's a classic manipulation tactic. I'd known Jessica for 3 years, but in that moment, she felt like the first person who truly saw me. "I made an appointment with a financial advisor," I told her. "Tomorrow morning." She squeezed my hand. "I'm proud of you." The advisor's office smelled of leather and lemon polish. Martha adjusted her glasses, reviewing my statements. $84,000 over 4 years. "And they never disclosed this to your sister or acknowledged it publicly?" "No, and you had no legal obligation to pay their mortgage?" "No. Then what you've experienced is financial exploitation." She leaned forward. "Family exploitation is still exploitation, Kylie." Hearing it named sent a shiver down my spine. "Let's make a personal budget," Martha said, "one that prioritizes your future." When she showed me a projection of where I could be in 5 years without the mortgage drain, college funds for future children, retirement contributions, a growing down payment fund, tears sprang to my eyes. "This is what financial health looks like," she said gently. The next morning, I opened my first investment account with the $1,400 I would have transferred to my parents. It felt like planting a flag on new territory. That afternoon, I enrolled in the graduate course I'd deferred for 7 semesters. "Welcome back, Miss Anderson," the admissions counselor said. "We've held your spot." 3 weeks later, the calls from extended family tapered off. Sam sent careful, neutral texts. My parents alternated between silence and escalating contact attempts. I rehearsed with Jessica, "I love you, but your mortgage is not my responsibility." Simple, direct. The knock came on a Sunday evening as I reviewed case studies for my first graduate class. 3 sharp raps. Dad's signature. I opened the door to both parents. Mom's eyes were red-rimmed, Dad's jaw set like it was before childhood punishments. "This has gone on long enough," he said, pushing past me. "You've made your point." Mom followed, reaching for my hand. I stepped back. "Your behavior is destroying this family," Dad continued, pacing my small living room. "Do you have any idea what people are saying? Your Aunt Margaret asked if you were having some kind of breakdown." "Charles," Mom murmured, a caution in her voice. "No, Elaine, she needs to hear this." He faced me. "You've embarrassed us. You've created a family crisis over a little financial help any daughter would provide without question." $84,000 is not a little help," I said, steadier than I felt. "You're killing me with this betrayal," Mom whispered, tears spilling. "After everything we've done for you." My rehearsed script vanished, replaced by something raw. "I love you both," I said, "but your mortgage is not my responsibility." "It never was." Dad's face flushed crimson. "So that's it? You're abandoning us." "I'm not abandoning you. I'm stopping the abandonment of myself." The words hung, undeniable. They left 7 minutes later, Mom sobbing, Dad rigid with fury. My knees gave way, and I slid to the floor, tears streaming, body shaking with sobs ripped from somewhere primal. But beneath the grief, I felt lightness, like stones lifted from my pockets after years of carrying their weight. That night, I slept 8 uninterrupted hours for the first time in 4 years. Morning came, and I stood at my window, watching the sun illuminate Denver, a landscape of possibility, not obligation. For the first time since that late-night call 4 years ago, I felt the contours of my own life taking shape. I was not half of anyone. I was whole. 6 months later, I woke to sunlight streaming through curtains I chose. No checking my bank app to calculate coffee money after an automatic transfer. I stretched and smiled at the ceiling. My ceiling, my rules, my money. The promotion notification had arrived yesterday. Project team lead. Your dedication and analytical skills make you the perfect candidate, my boss said, looking me in the eye. The whole department recognizes your contributions, Kylie. Recognition. The words settled like a warm stone in my chest. I pulled on running shoes for my morning jog, nodding to Mrs. Winters walking her corgi. Big day for your Italian cooking class, right? She called. Lasagna from scratch. I'll bring you leftovers, I replied. 6 months ago, I wouldn't have known her name or signed up for community center classes. I wouldn't have had money for ingredients beyond ramen. My phone buzzed. Jessica, hiking groups meeting at Boulder Creek Saturday. You in? Absolutely, I said, thinking of the boots I bought last month. The Rockies had become my sanctuary, their vastness putting family drama in perspective. Last weekend, I'd screamed into the wind on a summit until my throat burned, something inside me loosening. Back at my apartment, an envelope waited in my mailbox, thick and official. I opened it in the lobby, heart hammering. Dear Miss Anderson, we are pleased to inform you of your acceptance. I pressed the graduate program letter to my chest, vision blurring. The program I deferred 4 years ago when that first desperate call came. My phone rang. Aunt Gloria, your father asked me to call. He says the doctor's worried about his blood pressure, the stress of possible foreclosure. The mortgage is current through next month, I said, having checked online. I'm sorry about his health, but I can't help anymore. She sighed. He mentioned a misunderstanding about family obligations. No misunderstanding, I said firmly. I love you, Aunt Gloria. Tell Dad I wish him well. I hung up and checked Facebook. Mom's post, heartbroken when children abandon parents who sacrificed everything. Family should be forever. 17 sympathetic comments from relatives who didn't know the whole story. I closed the app without responding. Sam emailed. They're saying worrying things about money. Are they really facing foreclosure? I'm confused. I replied, they have options they're unwilling to consider. Happy to explain my side. I sent it and headed to work, where I led the morning briefing on my compliance system. The room fell silent when I walked in. 6 months ago, I'd have assumed dismissal. Today, I recognized respect. The implementation numbers are impressive, Thomas, our director, said. Kylie's design has reduced processing time by 32%. My colleagues applauded, genuine, not polite. That afternoon, my desk phone rang. Kylie Anderson, this is Marissa Johnson with Parker Executive Search. I'm calling about a director position in Seattle. I nearly dropped the phone. Your name was recommended for your compliance system design. The position is with Westlake Financial Technologies. Interested. My mouth went dry. Seattle. 45% salary increase, plus equity. I scribbled the number, promised to call back, and sat stunned. That evening, I requested a virtual tour of Seattle apartments. The realtor showed a 14th floor unit with floor-to-ceiling windows, the Space Needle gleaming in the distance. The price, once impossible, was now within reach without the mortgage drain. 2 years of the Seattle salary would equal 4 years of my parents' mortgage payments. Sam called. I talked to Dad. He admitted everything. 4 years of you paying their mortgage while they told me you were struggling. They took advantage of you, Kylie. I'm so sorry. Something shifted, the last puzzle piece clicking. It's not your fault, I said. Are you really considering Seattle? It feels right. I'm ready for something bigger. That weekend, I packed my Denver apartment. Each item faced a test. Does this serve my future or anchor me to the past? The donation pile grew larger. The Seattle company texted, contract ready for e-signature. Benefits begin day 1. Relocation assistance included. I looked at the graduate program letter on my fridge, the hiking boots by the door. Everything I owned represented choices I made for myself. I signed the contract. A month later, I stood at the panoramic window of my Seattle condo, watching dawn paint Mount Rainier in amber and rose. 14 floors above the city, I'd built a life where I mattered. My phone buzzed. Another text from Mom about managing without my support. I ignored it, sipping coffee that no. A second buzz. Grace, my former Denver neighbor. Thought you should see this. Sorry. The attachment loaded slowly, a vinyl banner across my parents' Tudor-style facade. Congratulations, Sam, for saving the family home. My coffee cup hit the hardwood with a crash, hot liquid splashing my feet. I barely registered the burn. My lungs compressed. 4 years, I whispered. $84,000. I sank to the floor, ceramic shards pressing into my palms, not from weakness, but from rage so pure it needed anchoring. They'd erased me again, rewritten history. I retrieved my laptop, opened my banking app. 4 years of statements, transfer confirmations, texts from Mom with, just this once, and, we'll pay you back. I found the email folder labeled, Family. Every desperate plea, Dad's business failures, Mom's medical bills, the roof, the plumbing, the forgotten property taxes. The printer hummed, creating a paper trail of their deception. I forwarded each piece to a new account created for this purpose. Sam called. Have you seen it? The banner. Yes. Kylie, I swear I had nothing to do with this. They told everyone at church I've been making their mortgage payments since you abandoned them. I laughed. Hollow. Of course they did. There's more, she said. They're hosting a family appreciation dinner next weekend to honor my sacrifice. An invitation arrived, cream-colored e-stationery, flowing script. Join us in celebrating Samantha's selfless dedication to family values. Mom's voicemail followed, we hope you can set aside our differences to celebrate your sister. Families should support each other in times of recognition. I dialed Jessica. They're crediting Sam with paying their mortgage. They're throwing her a party for something I did for 4 years. What are you going to do? I'm going to Denver. Not to confront them, to tell the truth. Saturday evening, I stood on their porch, voices and classical music, Dad's curated playlist, spilling out. I wore a tailored charcoal suit, power armor. A folder under my arm held every record in duplicate. My laptop bag contained a flash drive with a presentation. Sam opened the door before I knocked. You came, she whispered, eyes wide. Did you think I wouldn't? She stepped aside, revealing the living room transformed. Flowers they couldn't afford, catering from the expensive place downtown, a projector screen displaying the Anderson family legacy of support. Mom spotted me first, her champagne glass halting. Kylie, what a surprise, she said, voice artificially bright. We weren't sure you'd make it with your busy new life. Dad turned, his smile faltering. Pumpkin, come in. We're just about to toast your sister's incredible generosity. The room quieted as I walked to the projector. Aunts, uncles, cousins, church friends watched as I set my folder down. "May I add something to the presentation?" I asked, voice carrying. Dad hesitated, then nodded. "Of course. Our younger daughter wants to honor her sister, too." I connected my laptop, replacing their slideshow. The title slide appeared. 48 months, $84,000. Kylie. "What's this?" Mom asked, voice sharp. "The truth," I said. The first slide showed a spreadsheet. Dates, amounts, partially redacted account numbers. Transaction descriptions. Emergency transfer to parents, mortgage payment, property tax payment, insurance premium. "I don't think this is appropriate dinner conversation," Mom interjected, moving toward the projector. "Neither is lying to your entire social circle," I countered, clicking to the next slide. Enlarged text messages. "Kylie, we're desperate. Just this once. The bank is threatening foreclosure. Your father's business will recover soon. Just help us this month. Family comes first, always." Murmurs rippled through the guests. Aunt Martha's hand covered her mouth. Uncle Pete shifted uncomfortably. "You're publicly humiliating us," Dad hissed, face crimson. "If the truth embarrasses you, that's not my fault." The next slide contrasted Dad's business expense reports with their credit card statements. Golf club memberships, weekend getaways, restaurant bills exceeding my monthly grocery budget. "Stop this immediately," Mom demanded, her voice cracking. But I continued, slide by slide, building the case that I'd subsidized their lifestyle while they showcased Sam as the successful daughter and dismissed my contributions. Sam stood frozen, horror dawning as she grasped the deception, not just against me, but against her, used as their golden child while I was their ATM. The final slide showed the banner photo, the truth superimposed, $84,000. Kylie. The room fell silent. $84,000, I said quietly. "My down payment, my MBA, my future." Aunt Judith, Dad's eldest sister, rose by the fireplace. I braced for her defense. She always defended them. Instead, she clapped slowly, deliberately. "It's about time someone told the truth in this family," she said. Two cousins nodded, recognition in their eyes. The family patterns weren't new, just exposed. Mom tried one last deflection. "Family matters should stay private, Kylie." "Private like the banner on your house?" I asked. Sam crossed the room to stand beside me, her presence saying everything. For the first time, we faced our parents as a united front, the golden child and the invisible one, standing in truth. The last chains of obligation. 6 months later, Seattle's morning light streamed through my condo's floor-to-ceiling windows as I stirred honey into my tea. Sam sat across from me at a corner cafe, her lawyer posture relaxed, hair in a simple ponytail. "I still can't believe they showed up here with papers to add your name to the deed," she said, shaking her head. "Their version of an apology, I suppose." I smiled, watching ferryboats cross Elliott Bay. "And you turned it down?" "Not a question, but respect. I already own my own home," I said, gesturing toward my high-rise. "What I need is respect, not a name on paper." 6 months since the truth shattered our family's foundation. 6 months of rebuilding something honest. My phone buzzed with an industry newsletter. Anderson Team wins Innovation Award for Compliance Solution. My team, my leadership. Sam noticed my smile. Another win. I showed her the screen. Vice President sounds good before my name, doesn't it? Better than mortgage payer in secret. She squeezed my hand. "You're speaking at that finance conference next month, right? Ethical Leadership Panel." I laughed at the irony. Apparently, standing up to financial exploitation makes me an expert. That evening, I laced up hiking boots as 3 friends waited by the door. No budget excuses, Just 4 women heading to Mount Rainier for blooming wildflowers. Rachel asked about you again, Tina said, wiggling her eyebrows. The architect. Heat crawled up my neck, not from embarrassment but possibility. Dating without financial anxiety felt like new air. On Tuesday, I stood before 20 young women at the community center's financial literacy workshop. Boundaries aren't selfish, I said, my voice steady with hard-earned conviction. They're the foundation of authentic relationships. A girl in the back asked, but what if it's family? Especially then, I replied, meeting her eyes. When Sam returned in August, we cooked pasta in my kitchen, tomato sauce bubbling as Sinatra played. Remember when Mom would measure the pasta portions? Sam asked, twirling noodles. 2 ounces for you, 3 for Dad, 1 for me, because actresses need to stay slim. And now look at us, I said, gesturing to our heaping plates. Rebels with carbs. We talked late about childhood patterns we never questioned, adult choices we were making differently. I've been thinking about a real vacation, Sam said. Not a networking opportunity. Just joy. Where would you go? She corrected. Where would we go? Sisters only. My throat tightened. A year later, I opened an account for my niece's education, not from obligation, but choice. My financial boundaries workshop doubled in size. Setting limits isn't rejecting others, I told them. It's honoring yourself enough to bring your whole, healthy self to relationships. In my journal, I wrote year 1 of my authentic life. Not accomplishments or goals, but truths. Worth isn't measured in sacrifice. Love without respect is just use. Starting over at 30 isn't failure, it's courage. Evening found me on my balcony, watching the sunset paint the Olympic mountains gold, then purple, then blue. No buzzing phone with financial emergencies. No mental calculations of my account balance. Just this moment. Just me. Finally home